All right. I pretty much always have. I'm always like my piano is always open when I'm composing. This baby needs a tune right now. I'm gonna have my tuner come out and work on this, but it's so important. It's so important to be able to work with your chords and your melody, and you can't do that. You certainly can't do that with a monophonic synthesizer. So as much as I like my Moog synth, you're not going to be able to say, hey, here's a chord, and the notes of the chord and the melody that I want to play. So these are some of the chords that I want to work with. They are in the key of C minor, natural. And so remember, I can't keep the screen up at the same time that I can't keep like monitoring my video at the same time I can see the chat. So I'll try and remember to check in with the chat text every so often. I'm going to start here by figuring out tempo and Ableton Live is working. To go in here and double check because for some reason push is on, but it's not responding to the session. Gonna check the preferences here. Push is not being seen. So sometimes if push isn't being seen, you need to go in and make sure that all the drivers and everybody's active. Make sure that you have your preferences set correctly, and if it's not, still not being recognized, sometimes you just have to quit the program and relaunch it. sure all your USB cables are plugged in properly. So it still wasn't being seen. So what I ended up having to do was push was on, and I literally just somebody stole my presenter ball. Push wasn't being seen, so I literally had to physically unplug. But push was on, and so I literally unplugged push when Ableton Live was on, and then unplugged the USB cable and then plugged it back in, and that worked. And that worked by forcing Ableton Live to recognize push as being a controller that it was plugged into. For some reason, the USB port went to sleep and it wasn't being recognized. That's pretty standard. That happens. And so I'm going to put on my tempo here. You can hear this. I'm just hitting the tap tempo button here. So I just hit the tap tempo on the push button, and I feel like 108 is pretty good about where I want this. I'm going to go and check it. So I'll press play. Fast, they'll come down. I might actually just go for straight 100 beats per minute. So, tempo determined. It's good. And I'm going to, I got to save my session file, of course. To save my session file. As soon as you get something done that you want to keep, just save it. And I also always call my session files like, I start with 1A and then I increment the saves. So, name a song. I call it name the song 1A, and then I'm going to save that, and I'm going to put it on one of my external drives. Hopefully this is all being captured in ScreenFlow, so I'll splice that stuff in later. Saving in the folder where this particular project is going to go. And of course, Ableton Live is going to save like a little project folder. So, and next I'm going to go ahead and put some piano chords in so that I have the basic chord structure and maybe a little mock melody, and then I'll work on the drum beat. So I'm only mocking out some of the chords and things so that I know what key it's, I actually know what key it's in, but I want to make sure that the drums that I work on are in tune. Sometimes I'll start with the drums, but in this particular case I've already got a melody and some chords in mind that I want to work with. So I want to get something out for that structure. And so I don't need to use one of my cool external synths for that. I can just use something internally here, and piano sound will do fine for the mock chords. What I can do about giving you guys a camera on the computer screen. I think I'm going to go for just stuff up here. Go to my core library. Piano and keys. Grand piano will do just fine. Crop that on there. Call this reference chords. I'll call it ref. Chords. I've got some sound here. Preferences. I'm going to check my latency settings. So I had it set up pretty high because I was doing some mixing, and I had turned up my buffer setting really high. I definitely don't want that. So I'm going to set the buffer setting way down to 64 samples because I can't stand latency. And then I'm going to go over to my keyboard. So you notice I don't have a MIDI controller keyboard set up on my desk right now because at the moment I'm doing some testing with Ableton Live 10 and also trying out the new features with Push. Plus I actually like, I've got the P49, the Nectar P49, which is great, is a great controller, but I kind of like more keys. So I like 88 keys, but and 76 is okay. And what's the next one? Is 61 is nice. These are 61 key keyboards. So I'm just going to use this for controller keyboard. It's hooked up out of MIDI. This is a 1992 ASR10 sampler from Ensoniq, and it's a really good feeling keyboard. And so, but it works, and it works great for a controller keyboard as well. There it is. So that was easy. Just loaded up a blank instrument here so that I can control. So I'm playing, it's funny because I'm playing a sample on my computer from my 1992 sampler, but this isn't producing any sound right now. I'm not using it for sounds. And I'm just going to play some block chords in here and label some of these clips. Having Push available as a controller on which I can use to arm session tracks. I should show you that. So I'll switch from note mode. So there's my note mode. But I'm not going to try and play chords on this because the isomorphic keyboard's not. Let's play some jazz. The isomorphic keyboard's not working for me in terms of, because I played piano for so long, so I'm not going to try and learn the isomorphic keyboard. It's good for drums. But I can go to my session mode and so my track are my clips. There's a clip, so if I just hit this clip, I'll be good to go. And I think I'm just going to set this. I'm not playing anything special here. Block chords. I can literally set the input quantize and save myself some time to quarter notes. Set them, I'm going to set them to eighth notes. Actually, in case I want to play some eighth notes, like here. so I should be good to go here. I'm just gonna reach over and hit a clip to record. Metronome is on. Should be good to go here. Of course, if you mess up, like I just did, I can also very easily hit undo on there and do it again. 2, 3, 4. I'm forgetting what I'm playing. Undo. Undo button's great. There. 2, 3, 4. And then flip this around. I've got the clips down on the bottom screen here. So my clips, little mixer down on the bottom screen. I could have this reversed as well, and then up on the top screen I have my editor window, which is great. So you can see, my finger slipped and that note right there. So just delete that. It's gone. And I often like to make this big so I can actually see what notes are that I did. And you can see that it's 4 bars, which is what I wanted. What is that? That's good. So that's the verse, and I'm going to label that. So it's different. It's definitely different working with Ableton Live in terms of the composing, and it's fun when you're working on these sections this way. Yeah. And so I just recorded that clip up there. I should just wear a head cam. That would probably be a solution, huh? And I'm going to label this clip. This is the verse. This is the verse chords. So that's great. And then let's see what's going on here. One thing I think I did was, I've been actually on another camera, but I forgot to press OK on it. I'm going to remember to press OK on the cameras. It sounds like I'm talking from another camera. It's like that. That's why. I just totally blew that. I don't know how long that was on, but when I actually switch cameras, I have to physically press OK on it to make it go through. So sorry about that. Anyway, there's the clip is there that I created, the reference chords. Probably didn't get anything on the push here. When I am doing push, I'm down here. I can easily arm and disarm tracks. So I'm going to actually go ahead and record since that's good, I'm going to save that. Because like I said, whenever you do something that you like, just get in the habit of saving. It's like, okay, that's perfect. Double check it. 4 bars, perfect. I'm going to save that, and then I'm going to move to the next clip here to write the chorus section here, and switch this over here. Keep doing that. I'm like, how come I can't mouse around on my laptop? Oh, because that's the mouse, and I need to come over here to this thing to get the mouse. So I can see the screen here. Yes, kind of. And so we got the next part I want to play. So we'll go ahead and record that. So I'm gonna just, like I said before, I'm gonna just hit the clip that I want to record into. It's already armed on my controller here, on my push controller, and we'll try recording it. Yeah, that was bomb. Let's try that again. 2, 3, 4. Yeah, right. Okay, hold on. D minor, not D major, not D minor. So my finger slipped when I was hitting the record button over here on push, so my loop came out a little bit long, but I can easily fix that. I'm going to easily fix that just by resetting my loop here. Loop's on. So 1, 2. Well, actually, I see. It's the length should be 8 bars. That's right. There we go. And up to my top screen, make it easier. So I'm gonna move it up to the top screen. It's way easier for me to see what I'm doing up there. Check and make sure I had all the chords right, working with the melody, and that's all good. That's what I want. It's good, good. As usual, I like it, save it. And then, let's see what's going on here. So believe it or not, that's the whole chord structure, and so I'm going to switch cameras. Remember, press OK, OK, and for some reason it's not updating. There it is. And like I said, save that. I've got my chords. Oh, I want to label this clip. Like I said, you just keep organized while you're working, because otherwise it can quickly become a big giant octopus of a mess. And that's the chorus. And so I have two clips here. I have a clip for the verse and a clip for the chorus. And I might as well, since I'm at it right now, I might as well just go ahead and put the melody down as well. Hold on, it's my mom calling. I should get this. Make sure she's okay. Hold on. Hold on, just 1 second.
Hello?
Yeah, hold on, just 1 second. I'll be right back. Let me turn my mic off and come on, update. Hey, are you okay with that? I'm back. Sorry about that. Can you guys hear me? It's tech support for the parents. Oh, well, actually, it's my mom. Really, I installed Google Chrome on her Mac last night because she couldn't get Safari. Was just giving her too many problems, and Chrome was working way smoother, but she had questions about it. All I do is tech support. Yeah. Okay. Let's see here. Where was I? Oh yeah, I'm gonna just go ahead and drop some melody. You guys can hear me, right? Am I good? I'll just switch back to texting here. Yeah. All right. Cool. Thanks. So I am going to do the melody. So do the same thing. Maybe we'll find a slightly different tone for the melody. Again, all I'm doing right now is just putting down some reference material for me so that I can go forward with the drum beat and the rest of the arrangement. So labeling my track, melody. And then let me find something that's going to be, I'm thinking like maybe for this, maybe electric piano, Bright Tines, that would probably work good. That'll probably work really good. So I'm going to throw that on my MIDI track here and make sure that we have MIDI control. See what that sounds like with the piano. Let's switch cameras. I have like 3 mouses here. Which one is it? Yes, this one. Make sure that I can see some chords over here. That's right, that's there. So we'll start with a verse here. And push is, as I've done before, or maybe I hadn't done before, because I missed it. Remember, session view gives me the isomorphic keyboard, but I don't want to play that, so I'll switch back to, that's notes view, I'll switch back to session view, and I'm going to arm my track, and there are my clips, and so it makes it easy. Hit that, and the clip that I want to record into, and let's see. Just looking for something I wrote down here. Hold on. So starting notes on B. Just need that once. So I'm setting my, I had left my input quantize on, I think 8th notes, so, but I want to switch back to 16th here. And so just a really straight, just so I know what the notes of the melody are. Here we go. I had one note that I hit wrong or got quantized wrong. That one. Actually, I just played it early. Okay, so that's the melody. And so my melody is there. I'm going to, that's the verse. So again, I'm just going to label that verse, rename. Right? And then we'll move on to the chorus section here. Stop these clips. And let me fix my name on that chorus. And so the next one is going to be so same thing. I'm just going to hit the record on this clip over here and go for it. I should just hit twice on that last one. So it's easy since that was just one note that I missed. I'm not going to bother replaying the whole part. So enable the little button over here called MIDI editor preview so that I can actually hear the notes. So this one. And then label that chorus. Okay. So now I have my verse and my chorus set up here. That's and then there's actually, and then I actually repeat this. I actually need a post chorus. So this plays once, four times through, and then, so I can take the chords, and I think it's just that last section there. So I'm going to use duplicate, grab that clip there, duplicate it down. And then I believe it's just the last two bars, one more time through, or maybe two times through, I'm not sure yet. And we'll call that post-chorus. So I just move the loop point on it, and we'll rename this post-chorus. I'll be using that later. Again, you know, I'm not going for sounds or anything right now. It's just, those are just some cheesy piano sounds from the stock Ableton, and they're not cheesy, actually it's a decent sounding piano, but you know, just block chords and a melody. And now I get to move on to start doing some sound design, fun parts of this, and we'll start sampling this, the drum machine. And let's see here, let me put the screen back here. Checking things here. GoPro still looks like it's recording. I think ScreenFlow is still recording over here. And like I said, I'll sync all those up later and see if I can actually edit something together quickly. I'm going to put back on this camera, that's good. Now if I remember, like I said, I like that everything I just did was good, so I want to remember to save that. And I'm going to take a quick break to the restroom, and I will be right back, and we'll get the drum machine sampled. Alrighty, I'm back. Yes, sample. We're gonna sample this drum machine. How's everybody doing? We're an hour into this thing, an hour and 20 minutes. Hopefully, I'm keeping things entertaining by talking as I'm doing things. Jessica, since she had to duck out. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what WebEx thinks about a 2-hour session in terms of archiving it. She's like, hey, I hope I can catch the rest of the session. Send warm weather to Denmark. Yeah, no kidding. I don't know if we can do that, dude. Ah, perfect. Josh has got the right ideas. Working on his math, hanging out, watching the show. You, by the way, you guys are all on private, just so you know. Everybody's in private. It's cool, but everybody's in private. I'm just reading the questions. Everything good with the video as well? Okay. Yeah, I'm still learning. Like I said, I got to remember to switch back and forth. What I'd love to do is be able to get something like a bunch of cameras set up on different things, so that I could just hit like a little camera mount here, just like, okay, I'm here, different parts of the studio. But so let's make sure that I am on. All right, so I got a little 1983 drum machine here. This thing is in great condition, and trying to find one with a case too that hasn't completely fallen apart, because it's plastic. So after over 30 years, they start going. So I'm taking the case off here, and some of these older drum machines, I've noticed that even though that they will work with an AC power, I put in some big rubber feet on the bottom of it so that it wouldn't slide around. It just had these little plastic feet, and then I got batteries in here. So this runs on 4 AA batteries, and some of these old drum machines, I mean, Korg brought this whole thing back, and then Roland followed suit with the whole little individual battery operated devices. But the ones that run on batteries, actually you want to run them on the battery because they're quieter. When you run them on the battery, the output is quieter. And this actually it's kind of cool because it actually has a 1/4 inch output. It's a 1/4 inch mono output. Oops, I forgot to turn on my preamp, which kind of sucks. So I want to turn on my preamp and get that warmed up. And then let me grab a cable that I can get into with this. And this is not going to be able to use a balanced cable. This is going to have to be an unbalanced cable. I have a little basket of cables over there. The different kinds of cables that I need for using with this old gear: 1/4 inch cables, unbalanced and balanced cables, and my MIDI cables, power cables. The thing, if you do have power cables for things, always make sure to label them. I got a little labeler. I'll show you guys this label. So here's a little labeler here. It's a P-Touch labeler, and you can get these at like Costco for $30 or Staples for $30. They're cheap, but then the ink costs like $30 a cartridge, which is but the ink lasts a pretty long time. So you can label all the power supplies so you don't lose them. That's like super important. I don't know how many times I bought gear from people that have lost the power supplies. Don't lose the power supplies. Especially when you got some of the esoteric sequential circuit stuff I have require these $150 power supplies. So getting those replaced is a huge pain. Let me make sure that I've got this cable in a way that's not going to. A lot of cables on my desk with like cameras. this is analog, so I'm gonna definitely want to get this turned on as quickly as possible here in warming up, because it will sound different. So it's on. Bring the camera over here in just a second so you can see it. So I get that warming up. I got my preamps warming up. Usually I really like to let my preamps warm up for a while, but I forgot to turn them on this morning with so many other things to turn on. So let's switch over here. I love this. I don't know if you guys can see this. This screen, it's actually really fun to program beats on this. You probably can't see this because it's got the old school. If you're familiar with the TR-707 drum machines, those are the ones that really blew this up. But this one literally started the trend of this whole little big, I guess this is called, what is this? This is called an LCD, liquid crystal display. And you can see all the beats, the 16 bars, and it's really easy to program beats on this. This was the original liquid crystal display beat. There were other drum machines that had this concept in terms of the grid. Mackie, and I think it was there was this Italian company that had a big sequencer like this. But this is the first time that I saw them in one of these compact machines, and then, like I said, this then developed into the TR-707 and the TR-727 Roland drum machines. So I am going to plug the output here of this drum machine. So here's the output of the drum machine, and I'm plugging it into my patch bay here, and I'm going to bring it in channel 1 of my patch bay. I don't have anything else plugged in here at the moment. Channel 1 on my preamp on my patch bay. This preamp is connected to my Avid interface down lower in there. And this is, so if I play one of these, if I just play a beat here, I should see some sound. There's some sound coming up there. Make sure that the volume's all the way up on this little beast. And I'm now setting this to make I'm looking for a clip. There's a clip, and then I'm going to back it off a little bit. That should be pretty good. I'll double check those in a minute. And go. And so now we're going to go into Ableton Live. And I'm going to sample this in a way that's called a wavetable. And what that means is I'm going to sample a bunch of these sounds all at the same time. And then I'm going to use Simpler to slice them up. So it's going to be one wave file. So instead of sitting there trying to do each sound and sample one sound, I'm going to do this in a way quicker fashion. And the first thing I would need to do is go over here and get an input and make sure I've got sound. So let's see if I can flip this around here so you guys can see the screen. There's my mouse. I'm always losing. That's one problem with the two screens. I'm always losing my mouse. I've spent like, I swear, several minutes sitting there going, where's my mouse? Where's my mouse? Where's my mouse? So here is the channel that I'm going to come in. And look, I've already got sound there, 1. And it's a mono output, so I don't even need to waste doing it in stereo, so 1 is fine. And I've got a beat coming in there, so we're going to switch it to monitor input. And I should be able to hear this coming in through my preamps, my Mackie Onyx preamps, which sound fantastic. And of course there are better ones, but there's always better ones for more money. And then my Abbott interface, and at 48 kilohertz, 24 bits. And let's see. I did it again. I'm sorry, guys. Look, I like didn't switch my screens. Come on. Like, yell at me if I don't switch my screens. Yeah, so there it is. Input coming in 1. And hey Josh, yeah, there is a setting, or there's an app that will make your cursor swell up, but I haven't found it yet. Hey, I have a question for you guys. Just a minute ago, I switched my screens. I said okay, but before, like, I wasn't on the computer screen, right? Like, I just switched to the computer screen, like, just like a minute ago, right? Before that, even though I had seen, yeah. Okay, so I have to press OK in order to switch. All right. So, yeah, I don't know if you can hear that, but this thing just sounds so fantastic. I'm just playing the keys right now. So back here, back down, I'm going to show you guys the controls on this. So, because you got to think about, if you're going to recreate the sound of this drum machine, even though, and again, it's not an absolute recreation because it's not the actual drum machine itself, I'm just sampling them, but I want to sample. So I'll sample a couple of these. There's nothing on here for tuning these drums. There's the ability to turn the accent up. And then there's some balance within the hi-hats. So if I turn the balance, and I think that's the quality of the hi-hat. So I press play and let's change that. So again, just the balance on the hi-hats. Notice they have the exclusive button working here, the mute or choke group. Just want to open the hi-hat. And the volume's all the way up. The accent, so this is unaccented, and then if I press the accent button, It's funny, the accent button makes a little weird clicky noise. And then if I turn the accent up even more, I don't want to turn it up all the way, but let's turn it up all the way and see what it sounds like. It sounds pretty nice, actually. I'll leave it at like maybe 80%. It definitely changes the tone of the bass drum, though. And what I want to do is sample these sounds, and with accent and without accent, and a couple of them so that I can choose some different ones. That's another thing. It's kind of interesting. The accent. I see the accent is momentary. It only works if you're playing them at the same time. They got smarter with that later on. It's like you hold down the accent and you play the drum, but this one is. So that's a good example of like, the sequencer sounds different than when I'm triggering them. A sequencer with the accent sounds way better than when I'm triggering them manually with the accent. So that leads me to thinking that maybe I need to program in the drums and then record them as patterns quickly. So there's an accent button down here. Let's see what bank we're on. We're in bank A. Sorry, I'm just taking a look at like how to turn the drums off on individual patterns. Four is a good one to work on. You can see the accents down on the bottom. And then I can also press pattern clear here. Shift pattern clear. There we go. Nice. Clears the whole pattern out. It's up and down. So that's the bass drum. I gotta look this up because I don't want to. I don't want to sample that by just hitting the keys because that's definitely not going to work. So let me see if I can get into my Dropbox here. Oh, that's right. Dropbox decided that my operating system was no longer going to be supported on this particular computer. I have several operating systems running at the same time, and on different hard drives. So I gotta sign in online and take a look here. So I have a Dropbox with the manuals that I found online, and Boss DR110. there's a tap mode, that's cool. So reset, clear pattern. Go to step mode. Sorry, I'm reading the manual. Hold on. There it is. So it's pattern clear, and then move to the first dot. And so I want to put one on, give myself plenty of room to sample this, and then press start to create it, and then go to the next one, press start, and so that should be 4, and then I want to hit the accent for the 1, start, So that should be accent, unaccented. And then I go back to pattern mode and then press play. Adjust my accent. That sounds so nice. What a sweet sounding kick drum, especially with the accent on. I just took me a minute to, sometimes you gotta pull out the old manual and look at the manual. What do they say? RTFM. And I'm gonna go ahead and record some clips here. So, looking at the screen here, and make sure that I gotta check, always check your levels when you're going in, especially when you're sampling something like this. So, adjust it so that we have a peak and then back it off. I'm sorry, adjust it so we have a clip and then back it off. And this has no relationship to anything in terms of tempo or anything, because I'm just grabbing some samples. I don't want them to be warped or anything. I'm going to turn off the click track, and I am going to go in here and double check my level. So I'll record a couple of those. So the first one that I'll record then is going to be the kick drum, and just go ahead and record that. And we'll play that back here. Double check to make sure that we're not warped. So I want to turn that warping off because I'm just going after the sounds here. And I can't hear anything because I'm not on auto. That sounds fantastic. And I'm going to label that kick. So as with most things, this didn't exactly work out quite as I had planned. I was thinking I'd just be able to play the pads and that would be it, and I would record them. But since the sequencer itself sounds different than playing the pads, I didn't want to mess with playing the pads, and I like the way the accent sounds amazing, and I really want the sound of that kick drum. And the kick drum, there's no way to tune these, so I'm not sure what the tuning is on these drums. I like to tune them to the key of my song, so I'll have to deal with that a little bit later. So kick, and then we're just going to step through these, and if I go back here, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to do snare drum next, so I'm going to leave the accents, and I will make sure that I clear out this kick drum here. So select kick. Oh, sorry. I gotta go to step right mode. Select the kick drum, and then how do I delete kick drum? So wasn't it? I just go through stop and delete it. Okay, cool. All right, and then the next one, snare drum, and I'm gonna do the same thing with the snare drum. Oops, I accidentally ended up with a kick drum on there. Snare drum, so there. I go back through, so that's one accent. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and then that should be the snare drum, and then I shift back to shift, so back to pattern, and then play that. And then we're going to record that. Checking my preamps real quick here. That accent is clipping, so I need to turn that down. Remember, even if it's not clipping the meters on the screen here, if it's clipping my preamp, I'm going to be recording the distortion. I want to get it as hot as possible, but I'm not going for any saturation on this. I just want a nice, clean, solid-state input on the preamp. That sounds fantastic. So we will record this. And make sure that we turn warping off on it, because again, we don't want it to be warped. Nice. That's fantastic. And next is going to be, so again, I like those two recordings, so I want to save those recordings. And then next we will go ahead and grab our open and close, let's see, open hi-hat next. So switch to step mode, clear this out here. I hear a few people having to leave, and I'm going to finish what, it's not going to take me long to lay out the drum machine. So I'm going to get these recorded. Like I said, my goal today was to get this and get these recorded, to get the parts down, the chords parts down, and do some sound design on the drum machine so that I've got this ready to go for the next round of composing. And I'm going to get this done today, because I'll push it to get my personal goals done, and then I'll take a break. So the hi-hat, right? So hi-hat. And with accent, yes. And then step through here. That should be it. And back to pattern mode and play that. This is open hi-hat. So I'm going to have to treat the open hi-hat differently because it's got such a long ring on it. So I'm going to skip the open hi-hat. I'll come back to that one. So I need to go back to step right mode. I'm going to clear these out here. And I'm going to go to my closed hi-hat. That one. And that should be it. So step mode or pattern mode. So again, I turned up the level here, not so that I have a balance between the drums, but so that I have the optimal recording level going in. With the optimal recording level going in, once I go back in there and I will readjust the levels once I actually create the drum rack device, my sampler. In this particular case, I forgot to label my snare drum, so that's snare. Remember I said keep everything labeled as you're going. Snare, and then the next one here is going to be my hi-hats. Double check that level. Nice hot level. And let's record it. Hat, closed hat, right? So I'll label this CL hat. Make sure. Turn the warping off. And the next one that is nice staccato hit is going to be the claps. So let's do the claps next. We don't need to see the I/O at the moment. Get a little space there. Turn off the I/O. And claps is next. So again, here we go. Claps. Go to step mode and delete all these guys. Go to claps. And oh, look at that. The claps don't allow me to have an accent. The claps are just the claps. Okay, so claps are just the claps. That should be it. Pattern, back to pattern, play that. So we got a little problem with, there's a little bit of overhang there. I definitely don't want to, I want to make sure I have enough space. Even though it's like I can't see the accents, but the accents are there on that bar. So if I turn this down and I turn the tempo down, I should have enough space between these to make sure that I don't run over. Definitely hear the accented and unaccented. So here we go. Double check my input levels. That looks great. And we're going to record this now. Here we are. You can definitely see the accented and unaccented notes there, even though we weren't seeing them on the actual pattern sequencer. And claps. Turn off that warp as usual. I should label this track too here. DR 110. And now for the two cymbals, open cymbals. We'll start with the open hi-hat. And we're going to go to step mode and clear these guys out. Open hi-hat. I wonder if the accents are still there. The accents are still there. Cool. Okay. open hi-hats there. And go back to pattern mode. And what happens now if I play it with a nice slow tempo? So I'm just going to need to do two here, an accented and an unaccented. So we'll go back to the open hi-hat. So back to step mode, and we'll keep that one, and delete this one, keep this one, delete this one, and then go to the accents, and keep the first one, delete the second one. So we should have one that's accented and one that's not accented. So back to shift and pattern. Good. So I'm catching the space between them. Let's make sure that we're not clipping. It's really that first one. It's weird the way the analog reacts differently as the sequencer is playing it. All right. Back to this, and we will now record this. Here we go. Turn off warp. Label this OP hat. Take a listen to it. It's so the first one sounds different than the second one, even though they're both accented, but it's because of the way the pattern sequencer is functioning inside of the old device. I like that second one. The first one's a great variation of the first one with the accent. So now we're just going to do the cymbal, and then we'll have everything captured. So same thing, last one. Here. It's like dental surgery, huh? It's like one tooth at a time. And sometimes, that's just what it takes. So go back to step mode, and accent's fine on the first one, but I want to delete the open hi-hat. Delete those. And I want to go to the cymbal, and I want to put one on the first one, and then a cymbal on beat 9. So it should be, and then go back to pattern mode. That's great. The tempo is fine, nice and slow there. And let's get this. Oh, double check the levels as usual. It should be fine. Ooh, actually it's not. It's actually clipping a little bit. I'm clipping my preamp. That sounds good. And let's this. Here we go. Last one. So the variety on these hits is amazing, and that's what I'm talking about. When we're talking about the difference between actually playing the original analog instrument and seeing what's going on here, we're seeing different spikes in the output of this analog voice, and every single one of these hits on this cymbal are slightly different. So you can imagine if you program the entire beat in, if I wanted to sit here and program the entire beat in here, I'm going to get a lot more variety from this than I am from these static samples here. And you know, that's the sound. When you put everything in a drum rack and everything sounds exactly the same every single hit, then you're losing that variety of the actual analog instrument. But again, I don't feel like programming the entire beat. I don't think it's going to make that much of a difference programming the entire beat. So what I've done in each one of these is I've captured, you know, several of the beats so that I can put them all in and actually use some variety in here. So it's not exactly the same, but it's you know, similar. Make sure I turn warp off here and label this one. So this was cymbal, CYMBAL, and save that because now I got all the drums captured. File. I don't know, why am I using the menu? Command save. All right. Okay. Let's see. Now let's turn this poor little baby off here before it blows itself up from the 1983s. And by the way, take your track out of ARM before you unplug your gear. That was stupid. I'll put him up there so we can see him. And let's throw together a drum rack hit real quick here. Let's see if I can do what I can to get this on the screen for you guys. Show you how this works here. Sorry, I gotta move this cable from the preamp. It's out of the way. And that's pretty good, right? You guys can kind of see that. Hey, Athen, can you hear me okay? Did everybody else hear me okay? I don't know, I have a feeling probably the automatic limiter, when something loud came through, made a difference. So right now, you won't always be able to hear everything I'm doing or saying. Hopefully you can. But we're on the screen now, and hopefully you can kind of see, the screen there. And like I said, if ScreenFlow is capturing this, we'll be able to see this better later. So let's just start doing this here. I'm going to drag in a drum rack and get rid of this guy. We don't need that. And so I'm going to go to drum. So I just need an empty drum rack. I don't need anything. You know, I'm going to be designing this whole thing myself. So I'll leave it called drum rack. And then I'm going to literally go up to my kick drum here, and I'm going to drag this down here onto a pad. Boom. And there it is. And if I switch to no mode over here, or if I just play this, we're going to hear this here. And I don't want to be in classic. I want to actually be in slice mode. Or actually, no, I think I want to be in one shot, and then we'll adjust this. this is the one I want to play here. Actually, so I just want to, and I liked this one a lot. Make sure my track's armed. One shot. So it sounds great. So we don't want warp on. So make sure warp's off because I'm just going for the original sound here. And I'm going to zoom in here and make sure that we are where we need to be here. By the way, I can literally do this on push as well. You can see this, like there's the waveform on push. Probably easier to do this on the screen right now so you guys can see, but this right up here. I shouldn't have moved this. So you got to zoom in here so that you can see the beginning of waveform. And we don't need all this extra space on the end here. Definitely one shot's fine. You can play it. And we're going to label this one kick 1. Also, so because this drum machine doesn't have velocity sensitivity, I want to turn the velocity sensitivity off on this. So when I'm going through and creating these samples, I want to set this to 0 so that it's always on. And then, so that's kick 1. And then I want to take another one here, and I'm going to put this on. I'm going to put this on here on E1. And I want this one to be my unaccented one. So this will be kick 2. And if I play this whole thing here, I like the second one here, so I'm going to go for the second one. Let's move these guys in here. And same situation, just zooming in. Closer in you can get, the better. You don't want any dead space at the beginning of your waveform. You want to be able to, this is a piece of percussion. We want to, when we play that note, we want to be able to hear the note. Set this to 0. And now label this. So this is kick, call this kick 2. And so you notice I can have as many as I want. I think for this accent and unaccented will be okay. If I want more, I can always create some more, but kick 1, kick 2. So I have on my push now I have and I definitely want to turn up the volume. The other thing I noticed is the volume's low on these. So, I brought these in. Definitely the kick should be at 0. And the kick 2 should be at 0 as well. Now we're getting some punch out of that. And I already had the level set coming in, so going out at 0, the same thing. I've got that right where I want it, right under clipping. That sounds sweet. And let's do the snare next. So I'm going to go to the snare, and the same thing, I'm going to drag it on here to, actually D1 is where I want the snare. However, that's right, I always forget this, because if I'm using push, I'm not going for general MIDI notes here, I'm actually going for what's convenient in terms of the push matrix, the grid there. And so I want it next to the kick drum. And let's listen to that. Interestingly, I have outlasted the GoPro, which just told me it was done recording. Same situation, I like that second snare drum. Again, we'll go in here and make sure that beginning of the waveform. I find a lot of students, or a lot of people that are just, they don't zoom in far enough. You really got to zoom in. You want to zoom in. You really get 0 and 0 on the velocity. We got a drum kit coming together. I'm going to call this snare 1. Once I've developed this, I can use this for any of my other songs. And this particular song, I want to go for this old retro 80s feel. So that's the reason why I'm taking the time to sample this and do the sound design. So grabbing the snare drum again, and do the same thing, just pull it down here, drop it in here. I already know that I want that second unaccent here. Zoom in here. Set my volume to 0 and my velocity to 0. And I definitely want to set these into the same groups. Remember, these are individual voices, so I don't want to be playing these at the same time. I don't want to play the unaccented and the accented snare at the same time. So I want to set these to mute groups or choke groups. So for example, the kick. So it's kind of weird. I think that so the show high chain list, we open the show high chain list up, and then we get the IO. There's the IO, and we click on the IO. Now we can see the actual choke groups. So the kick I will put the kick on 1. It's only one voice for each of the kicks, and the snare on 2. Make 2, 2. And, oh, I better label that one. Snare 2. And as we've talked about before, like with the hi-hat, I'm going to be putting the hi-hat on it, on the same group as well. So let's do the hi-hat next. Closed hat. I'm going to grab this closed hat, put it down here.
let's close up this I'm doing. I actually like that last one. I'm gonna go grab this one. Amazing how every single strike sound. If you feel like taking the time to program the beats directly in the drum machine, it's only worthwhile. You know, I might end up deciding, I mean, when I'm making decisions as I'm going forward producing a song, I might decide that I want to give that a try. Go in and actually do that time as I'm learning about this drum machine. Funny how that analog waveform, the weird little thing at the beginning, that's probably one of the things that makes it sound the way it does. It doesn't just strike like a normal sample all the time. It's got that little there. Sounds sweet. I'll shorten it up. So that's closed hat one. And I'm going to do a closed hat two there. I'm just playing that from my push right now. It sounds absolutely lovely. I'm going to do the open hi-hat. I'm going to go with the first one. I like the way the not quite as tonal first. Look at that. We got stuff at the beginning of that sound. I cut it there, and I'm going to cut it there. I want to give it a little bit of room for the sound to ring out. And down here, try that. So that's open hat one. I think that's pretty good there. This snap parameter here, right here, that allows me to snap the zero crossing in the middle of the waveform. I cause a click when I do it. I adjust my start point. Hold it. And this is OP hat 2. And now I want to go in here and adjust the choke groups for all the hi-hats need to be in the same choke group. So this one and choke group 3. I think there's a key command for shift down and doing all these. Oh, actually, I can select them all, I believe, and then do them. No, I've done them all. Make sure that so let me show you push over here. Save it. Yes, absolutely. So I'm only missing 2 instruments. I'll finish those later. The clap and the and let's record session view, chord armed. The goal today was to get that designed, save it, and just write a quick beat. I'll finish the beat later, but just the thing down here. So one pain is switching back and forth when you're on push here. It's like I wish there was a way I could, if I could just go and record here, but you need to be back in the session. If I hit this, it's going to go in a click. Get back to note, record something. So this track's done. The DR110 sample track is, and I can go ahead and basically take this offline. So what I do is I will go and I'll turn it off. Small. I don't want to take it out of the session. I'll just leave it in the session. Take it over on the side here. And then this drum rack is done. You know, that's a lame beat, but I'll work on that later. I want to now just go ahead and save what I've done so far for this drum kit. So I'm going to hit the save button here. I'm going to save it. There it is. And I'm going to name it. You can see there's a kit in there that I did for controlling my Oberheim DX. And this is my boss one. DR110 G. Copied the media in there, and so there it is. I've got a kit. I've got a beat that I can work with. Well, I got a kit that I can work with going forward. So the sound design for my drums for this song is done now. Now I just and that took me 30 minutes longer because I got messed up with this little baby. Weird thing. Look, DR110, DR110, recreated in drum rack. All right. So yeah, that's it. Especially since my GoPro ran out of film, or not film, RAM, or whatever ran out of it, just stopped, beeped at me 10, 15 minutes ago, beeped at me and said, I'm done. You're taking too long. It's funny because I'm like trying to remember that I'm not so much in a rush here, but which is really different than the actual lectures where I got to cover a topic in a specific time. But like I said, the way I work, I like to decide on what I'm going to do before I go on with the rest of my day. So it's like, today I'm going to get this and this done. And you get pretty good with estimating how long those things are going to take. Get the chords down, get the melody down, design my drum kit, and the next time I will come back, I will write my beat out, I'll finish like the whole song structure out. I didn't do that today, but I'm not so worried about that because I've got my verse, my chorus, and my post-chorus up here in the clips. All right, so well, let's see if this archives and if it blows up WebEx or what happens. And feel free to give me feedback and let me know what you guys think about this. Like I said, I think Josh had the right idea. It was just I just put it on in the background and doing my homework. Oh, and Scott, actually, yeah, okay, awesome. Scott's on private, but he's like, hey, enjoy this, Hawk. But he had to go. And I'm gonna do this. I think I can do this in like 6 Sundays or so. So yeah, I'm not trying to hide anything, Michael, in terms of like what I'm doing. I'm just going for it. I want to show you guys exactly what happens. Thanks. And alrighty. Fantastic. Thanks for being here for my first beta test. If you guys have any feedback for me, you want to drop me a private message. Like I said, for me, it was like, oh man, I got to switch the camera. I'm sure I'll get smoother with the process. And I'll see if I can archive this footage and stick it into something further. And I'll put it up on YouTube. I don't know if I can I load a 2.5-hour video on YouTube? I don't know. It's worth a try, right? Since they're going to take away, they're taking away the financial incentive. We'll just put big, huge videos. I already said. All right. Have a great rest of the Sunday. Watch for the lectures and topics for this coming week. And drop me a message, private message if you guys have any questions. All right. Thanks for being here, everybody. It's great to see so many faces, and this was fun.